Welcome to some more Druid Karn. I have an interesting hand here that's really reliant on Druid not dying. By getting a Stomping Ground and then with the Flagstone, I can always cast Run in 6 and progress my mana that way and just play powerful Planeswalkers. So even if Druid does die, I might be okay. The only problem is Flagstone doesn't help me cast Ren. So no matter what, if Druid dies, I will need to draw land. I think this is a keep. I mean, if I curve out well, this is a turn 3 win. Basically, if my opponent doesn't interact with me at all, this is a turn 3 win. Just wanted to point out how this could be a little rough. Opponent is keeping 7, so if they're like a Grixis Death Shadow, this could be hard. Island, Mountain, Plains. This is going to be Jeskai control. Can't say that's something I'm exactly looking forward to playing against. It means I'm not going to crack this. And I'll rather shock, I think. Unless they tap out here, because I don't want Druid to just get bolted or something. Okay. Cleansing Wildfire would be a good draw for me as well. Opponent can't counter, so they have to spend mana on their turn, so I might as well fetch right there. If my opponent doesn't interact at all, like if they just untap and brainstorm with a Jace or something, then I win, but I highly doubt that. I mean, at this point they should be killing Druid or holding up a Cryptic. Well, I can't hold up a Cryptic with that mana. I have another Druid in hand. I'm just going to kill Druid here to deny them the card draw. I don't think I'm going to outgrind them, and if I am going to outgrind them, it's going to be because of the Planeswalkers in my hand, not because I have an extra Druid in my hand. So I'd rather... Ooh, that's a good draw. What do I want to do here? I'm either replaying Druid, or I'm dropping a Run in 6. I think I want the Run in 6. And I'm not going to pick up this land. I'll do that next turn. I'm going to kill the Teferi with the Run in 6. And next turn, I can either drop Druid, or if they kill a Run in 6, drop another Run in 6, and then drop Druid, or drop like a Karn and Chandra, things like that. Lots of options based on what my opponent does here. So far, they've been very insistent on tapping out. Let me see. I could swear that their lists had more counter magic. Okay. So Snap, Teferi, Jace, Bolt. So Remand and a few Cryptics are really just the only answers that they have here. I don't love main deck Relic because that means my Run in 6 isn't as good, so I'm really hoping that I pick up a land right here. Because I have open mana, like I can't just drop a Run in 6, pick up that, and then drop the Druid. So I'm really hoping I draw a land here. I think I'm kind of forced into it. They didn't crack the relic. Okay. I have red. I have white. I think I'm safe just to get a basic here and kind of preserve my life total. And I'm not going to F6 in case they have Lightning Helix, which I would kill Druid to counter. Just in case that 3 life on my opponent would matter. Bolt the Druid, that's fine. But Helix the Druid, I think I would go out of my way to counter that. So my opponent's win conditions could be Planeswalkers. It could be Geist of Saint Traft. Could be Shark Typhoon. Lots of different options. It could just go like a Snap Burn route. Opponent with 4 cards in hand. I have 4 cards in hand, so I think we're kind of evenly matched here. I can drop Chandra, I can drop Karn. I think with my opponent effectively tapped out here unless they have a force. I think they're both equally hard for my opponent to deal with, but I think Chandra might be just a slightly better spot. Force Negation or Spell Pierce are the only things that they could have right here. And if they have the Force, I'd rather them force the Chandra than the Karn. Okay, so I can plus right here, get 2 mana, drop a Hex Drinker, and level it up twice to level 2. Just to make my opponent think about having to kill the Hex Drinker. I'd rather them point the removal at the Hex Drinker than at my Planeswalkers or even my face here. And if they kill it, I can always just finale at Bath unless they Bath. Because Finale for 1 buys back Hex Drinker. If I'm even interested in buying back Hex Drinker at this point. Add 5 mana in any combination of colors. Indestructible land is very cute with Cleansing Wildfire. Okay, I can't do anything until it's my opponent's turn. That's really cute. Seems terrible on the mana base, though. Like, it's cute, but Flagstone already pushes you heavy white when you're probably not a heavy white deck. Like, this is like a blue-red deck that I'm playing against that's got extra white lands for no good reason. I mean, I have to stretch my mana base to fit Flagstone in with all my forests, because I need forests for Arbor Elf and Utopia Sprawl. I need plains for Flagstones. So far, from what I've seen in my limited testing with this new brew, control matchups are much easier post board when I have access to 4 Veil of Summers, and then I just kind of sit with Veil of Summer and drop a Karn. Opponent concedes. That tells me they have no removal in their hand to deal with the Hex Drinker, and the Chandra is going to kill them. But they can't beat both here. Alright, what do I want here? Veil of Summer. Boil. Yeah, I still want Boil. Skyclave is a maybe. It really just deals with Teferi. And Teferi does shut down Veil of Summer, so it's something I'm potentially interested in. Things I'm less interested in. Less interested in comboing. At least with Druid Vizier. Heliod and Ballista is still a fine combo kill here. Klothys is really good. Ranger Captain's really good. My Walkers are really good. Might be interested in trimming some E-calls or some finales. Cleansing Wildfire helps me ramp through my opponent. Running 6 is really good here. Hex Drinker's not actually good at all. I'm just going to trim the Vizier combo entirely. I'll keep the Druids because they're good mana accelerants, but I really doubt against Jeskai control that I'll be able to combo. They just have so much creature removal. What am I looking at for them having? Oh, that's Civilization. They can have Gust, cards like that. Ooh, this hand is so good if I draw Forest. That's a previous match. Let's look at the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I have 15 green sources I could draw into out of 53 cards, and I have 2 draw steps to hit, right? It's like a 28% chance twice. If I hit a green source, this hand is decent. I just need to draw lands because I have ramp, or even if it's not ramp, it's still okay. I think I'm gonna keep this. I won game 1. I think I can keep a risky game 2. This hand is just almost everything I'm looking for. Like, I would keep this 6, I think. Was even drawing a Flagstone is not bad thanks to Cleansing Wildfire. And I drew a Stomping Ground, even better. Play the Arbor Elf, because if my opponent bolts it, then that's one less bolt for the Druid. They kind of said if they were going to bolt. And if they didn't bolt it, then I get a free Arbor Elf to live. And Darksteel Citadel, that just seems greedy to me. Boom bust. Oh, that hurt me bad. I was not expecting that. Why would you run Cleansing Wildfire and Boom Bust? Then you're just a straight up evil. That's just straight up evil. Okay. I just need a... And now I wish I Oath of Nissa to grab a land and made my opponent's bolt to kind of deaden their hand for their turn. What do I ditch here? Ditch a Druid. Nice. Am I just dumb? Like, where's the blue mana here? They had Teferi. They had Teferi last game. Where's the blue mana now? Like a Windswept Teeth I can get... Oh, I have no red sources left in my deck. I cannot cast Klothys this game. Yikes. Like, what are the odds I had both red sources there? Klothys is at the bottom, probably where I want him. How many boom busts do I think my opponent runs? I think I have to put it on here. Like, where's my opponent's blue mana right now? I feel like I'm going crazy. Like, they had blue mana. So I guess Boil is not good against them. So I guess I want to drop Red and 6, pick up Stomping Ground, and then... Well, that was really anticlimactic. Cool. So the concept of this deck, when my opponent actually plays against me, is this is Druid Karn, and Druid Karn used to run blue. It was a Bant deck for Teferi, and it ran Euro and really powerful cards like that. And I even splashed Jace and the Adventure Fairy. And the deck was doing well, but it doesn't do well when the mana dorks die. Because when the mana dorks die, you're running a low land count deck that's really reliant on Utopia Sprawl if Arbor Elf and Druid are dying, and you need to get to 4 mana to cast Karn, and then you need to get even more mana to dump your hand for Bridge to be valuable, or to drop a Worm Coil, or even just a Fair Ballista. So it had some cute things it could do to slow down aggro, but it was really kind of a rough matchup. Any aggro or mid-range deck that just would clear out all my Druids and Arbor Elves. So the thinking here was by adding red, I get to run Flagstones and Cleansing Wildfire. What that lets me do is ramp and accelerate my own game plan even when my dorks are dying. Just picture this very, very generic hand. Turn 1, Utopia Sprawl on a forest. Turn 2, I drop Flagstones and Cleansing Wildfire it. Turn 3, drop a land. Now I have 5 mana. And I did that without mana dorks. I have 5 mana turn 3. 5 mana turn 3 lets me drop something like a Finale for 3, and I get to go grab Klothys or Heliod or Ranger Captain. It lets me drop a Karn and almost have enough mana to do something with it, but if one more Utopia Sprawl or an Arbor Elf or a Druid somewhere in there would have changed that. It lets me drop like a Red and 6 and do more. So being able to ramp without creatures is one of the reasons why decks like Tron and Amulet Titan are so effective, because they can ramp and go on and do their thing, and you're just holding a bunch of fatal pushes and bolts going, and Path Exile's going, man, I really want to stop what my opponent's doing. But you can't because they're not playing creatures, or they're ramping without creatures. And you kind of saw a little bit how this deck could grind with like a run and 6 Chandra package or run and 6 into Karn. I wish the match was a little bit more thorough, more complete, but you can kind of see what the theme of this deck is. This is at its heart a combo deck that's mirroring a little bit like Ponza, like the new red-green monsters decks. Like I can go turn 2 Karn, turn 1 Arbor Elf, turn 2 Utopia Sprawl Karn, and then I can get the liquid metal coating lock on them starting turn 3. I can go turn 2 Devoted Druid, turn 3 Tutor for Vizier or Finale for Vizier, and then win with either Finale, Ballista, or Karn, or a Ranger Captain into a Karn if I have enough white sources. There's a lot of different avenues that this deck can take, but it all hinges upon exploding out the gates with mana. And usually people think, oh, you have plenty of mana, you got Druid and you got Arbor Elf. But again, Lava Dart is a card. Lightning Bolt, Searing Blaze, those are cards, and those are very good against Arbor Elf and Devoted Druid. But Utopia Sprawl, Cleansing Wildfire, Flagstones, that gives us ramp without it. So that's kind of why I started transitioning into red. And then I remembered, oh my goodness, we can get red in 6. I found this deck can, again, stall a little bit with mana. And I used to use Eternal Witness a lot. I noticed she's absent from this list, but Eternal Witness a lot just as a, oh, Ewit, pick up a land, yep, now I'm guaranteed to drop a card next turn, and kind of progress my own game plan. Red and 6 is the same thing for 1 less mana and a lot more value. So Red and 6 lets me pick up Flagstones and just keep looping Flagstones. I know I only run 1 Canopy land here, 1 Horizon Canopy, but that's just because I need the mana base to have so many forests for Sprawl and Arbor Elf to work, and so many plains to make Flagstones viable. But even still, I don't think we really need it, because if we just dump and fill our board with lands, well, then we can do some really wacky things late game, like Finale for 12 cleanly, or Finale for 10 cleanly, which is cost 12 mana, and just pump up a board full of Devoted Druids and in a Klothys or something. There's a lot of cool things we can do there. Also, having that much extra mana means a Hex Drinker, which is normally a terrible card in this style deck, is actually viable. We can tutor for it with Finale, Ranger Captain, or E-Call, and just pump it up if we have tons of mana and make it really big. So lots of avenues of attack. Primarily, though, we want to be killing people with Devoted Druid. When that plan falls, we kind of want to get some value out of our Planeswalkers. A secondary attack line could be Heliod and Ballista, but again, we need mana for that, which is why this whole Cleansing Wildfire, Flagstones, Trocaire package can kind of work. We can also do some cool things with another red card I want to mention, which is Klothys. So Klothys is really, really good here because it's good against aggro. It's kind of the Euro card in this slot. It's kind of the Euro for this deck, and Euro was run in the Bant package, but I think Klothys is better here. Klothys is another ramp card. Klothys is able to progress our mana so we can have a little bit more red or green mana when we need it. Also can gain life, and also is a win condition if there's plenty of cards in the graveyard under a bridge. So we could just go Karn, bridge, drop bridge, Klothys, sit down and say, okay, well, eventually we're going to Ballista kill you to death, or destroy all your lands and just let Klothys do the job. And we have inevitability there, another avenue of attack. So I've been pretty impressed with the red splash. Boyle is just a one-off sideboard card because I really want to beat blue decks, and I want a card that blue must answer. So if I can like end step Boyle, they counter it, untap Karn, I'm kind of fine with that exchange. It kind of just forces my opponent's hand a little bit more. I kind of view it as like a 5th Veil of Summer, like a 5th. You have to deal with this card or I win the game. So that's the deck. Going over the sideboard a little bit. Oh, I actually didn't mention the other red card, Chandra. Chandra is just a Jace replacement straight up. She does a lot of things Jace does. Jace is obviously better. They both kill a creature. Jace bounces it. She permanently removes a creature. She can help us ramp again. She can have a little win condition again under a bridge, which is kind of nice. And her emblem should win us a game because we should be able to do lots of cool things. playing lots of spells, especially with Wrenn and 6. I did actually win a game off of ulting Wrenn and 6, buying back a Finale from the graveyard to fetch a Vizier to have infinite mana to win the game with a Ballista in hand. So kind of some weird little things like that. Like Wrenn and 6, you're not looking at the emblem being like, oh, we have Bolt, like this is a must-have. But the emblem is really powerful, even just with like E-Call, Finale, and Cleansing Wildfire. It's pretty powerful when you're able to discard a land and Ghost Quarter your opponent and draw a card. And if you can do that every turn, eventually they will have no more lands. The sub-theme of this deck is definitely destroy your opponent's mana. Going to the sideboard, I'm really, like I said, I wanted to attack those blue decks. We can kind of do that here. Well, Veil of Summer's also hitting Thoughtseize decks and Fatal Push decks. This is our Karn package. We got Walking Ballista, which is a combo piece. We got Ensnaring Bridge, which protects us. Liquid Metal Coating is the #1 go-to because it's a pithing needle that also destroys lands with Karn's plus. Tormod's Crypt is just in case we need to deal with someone's graveyard. And Wormcoil Engine is once we have all that extra mana again, because it's the single best card we can do against Jund, but Jund will be killing our creatures. But again, mentioning this mana package, we actually can get to 6 mana more reliably to drop Wormcoil. A couple paths for decks that have big creatures that we can't deal with very well. Skyclave Apparition is kind of like the third path slash weird little spot. Like I can deal with Teferi, the little Teferi, kind of fine. It's kind of just there just to be a little bump in my opponent's step. I don't love the double white cost though, so I'm not sure how much longer that'll stay in the deck. And 2 Baloths. I'd love to have more. In fact, I'd love to have 4 Baloths in this deck because I think that this deck can afford it, or like 3 Baloths and a Thragtusk, just to be a little bit better against the red decks, which can hurt us if we're not drawing Klothys and Heliod. One last note on Klothys. Klothys actually gains life, which is pretty good with Heliod, which triggers to give a +1/+1 counter on something. I was actually able to win a game because I knew my opponent had no removal, and I was able to drop Ballista and Heliod together. But Ballista was too small, and I didn't have enough mana to pump Heliod. And with the untap, I had Klothys in play, gained 2 life, put the counter on Ballista, and was just able to make do of having very little mana and winning through that. Even when my opponent was attacking my mana dorks, and even when I wasn't drawing my mana ramp, I was able to find a way to win with that little combo. So that's the deck. That's a little deck tech at the end there. I hope you like it. I will see you on the next one.